So, what we're going to accomplish today, hopefully, actually maybe not today, but in this video, let's put it that way. We are going to assemble, we're going to assemble the back end here. We're going to put the swing arm together. We're going to bolt up the shock. We're going to bolt up the linkage to the swing arm. We are going to throw the hubs on. We're going to put the carrier in. We're going to throw the axle in. We're going to bolt up the brake rotors. We're going to bust out the sprocket. We're going to hopefully get the rear wheels on, which are over there. Yeah, that's the rear end. We're going to tackle that in this video. This may be the end of this video. I'm not quite sure yet. If time permitting, or if it doesn't get too long, we are going to also try to throw the front end together. We have the shocks, we have the spindles, we have the brakes here, the brake rotors, we have the A-arms, we got some Hauser +1, some Hauser Racing +1 arms, and let's see what else we got going here. Oh, we got some brake clamps, we got all kinds of good stuff. We got the tie rods. They are also Hauser. They came with the package. And we bought the tie rod ends. They are all balls. And basically by looking at those tie rod ends though, I believe that Moose Racing also makes the same ones. And I believe they just buy them from somebody that puts them in the same package because they look exactly the same. Anyway, they're good quality, and I've read good reviews on them. They're way beefier than the stock ones, so that's a good plus. Yeah, so let's get down to it, shall we? There's two, torqued. Remember, we torqued this top one to 31 foot-pounds. Bottom subframe 240. Next, we're going to tackle the swing arm. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to install the rear linkage. And the rear linkage is going to go right about here. We have, in case you saw the videos, we have the videos where we rebuilt these linkages, where we put the new bearings in and everything else, greased them up. They're all greased, ready to rock and roll. Let's put the linkage in, shall we? All right. So all the bolts are going to go from right to left. And we'll put this one in here. Right in here. And we'll just snug the bolt down. We'll snug up, we'll just put the bolt on, right, or the nut on. We'll snug all these down and torque them in the end to make sure that we have everything where it needs to be. All right, first off, linkage. And it faces this direction. This is going to be the shock. Next, the swing arm is going to go, right? And this isn't quite complete yet. We need seals here and here. But we're going to grease that up, and this actually goes through the motor. So we'll be pulling it apart later on. But just for right now, we can put this on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I don't have a jack, so I'm going to use this box right here. And we will slide that dog right on in here and set it up on the box. This is our jack, our makeshift jack. And the pivot bolt will go right on through here, like so. We'll square that up, make sure we're all right. And we'll just cap this off so it doesn't come back out with the pivot bolt nut. Of course, we're not going to tighten that down. Like I said, we're going to put a motor through there. We're going to put that through the motor, actually. So we'll have to pull it back out and in case you have this step already, you have the motor in there, you want to make sure that you use anti-seize all over this thing right here so it doesn't seize up in there. These are notorious for that. Alright, so now that we have that in there, next step, we're going to put the rear shock through. So, we'll take the rear shock, we'll drop it through, and we'll hook it right into here. And you want to make sure that the reservoir is facing towards the motor. And I'll have to stand for this one. There we go. Got that in there. Let's just put the nut on so we know where that is. Get her done. Somebody's doing some burnouts. Awesome. Alright, next rip, we're going to hook the shock to the linkage. And that will drop right into here. You want to make sure that you put that in the middle hole, right? This one is going to be hooked into here. Actually, it's going to be hooked into, we have this to go on. Let's put that right on in here. And secure the nut on the other side. Okay, next up, we can put our front linkage on, and that will go right into here, and that takes the old Allen head bolt, which will go through the slot there, and this takes a washer on this one and a nut on the other side. Okay, so after reviewing the service manual, you may have seen me put the washer on the outside of here before, but after consulting the manual, the washer actually goes in here. So it says make sure that you account for the washer on the left side, this way, between the linkage arm and the swing arm. So it goes right there. So you want to make sure of that. Alright. And then, yeah, so if you're finding this content useful, please make sure you hit that like button. Hit that thumbs up down there and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell notification. Make sure that you get notified when we put new videos out for this build. They're going to be coming quick and fast, so you know, make sure that you get on board and get notified whenever we put out new videos. What we're going to do is we're going to drop this box and we're going to hook up the linkages together. You want to make sure that you flip this out of the way though, because I've already chipped the spring a couple of times and well, there's not much you can do about that anymore, but I got a shock cover that I'm going to put on here. Just cover it with a shock cover. Everything's beautiful. Alright, so let's get the box out of the way. Drop this down. Move the box or your jack in case you're actually using something normal. And this will slide right over the top of this. And we can bolt that right on in there. Like so. Secure the nut on the other side. And there you have it. we don't need the jack anymore. But yeah, that's how this is supposed to look. That's how that looks right there. And there you go. And we're just gonna back all the nuts off, dab some blue Loctite on there. Then I'm gonna snug them down with the impact, and then we'll get to torquing to the specs. Let's just dab this guy. These are all 14s, by the way. So let's just snug that back down. Okay. Next, we're going to do these bottom. We're going to do the. Let's do the linkage up here. All right. Now let's do the 2 linkage. All right. Now this guy. Back this off, throw some blue Loctite in there, and we're gonna need an Allen for this guy. Boom. Now that we have all those snug down, let's torque them. Torque them! Torque them! So yeah, we're gonna probably need the wrench. And the top shock right here gets 43 foot-pounds. Basically, it's just gonna be 43, 43, 43, 43, and this one's 33. So we're doing all 43s except for this top one right here is 33. So let's see if we can't fit this in here. Yeah, looks like it fits. All right. 43. Now let's hit our bottom one. Oh yeah, okay. 43 on there. Now we gotta get it back out, all right. We're getting bottom heavy. We're gonna have to throw the front end on here pretty soon. Now let's zip these other guys down. We got this one, we got the back one done. So these next 2 are both 43 also. Okay, there's 43 on that one. Probably should put a pad up there on my head, but you know, that's okay. We'll use the subframe in my head to stop it from moving. Okay, let's get 43 on this last one. There's 43. All right, now we need to adjust our torque wrench to 33 to hit this guy. This guy's 33. So we did this one 43, this one right here 43, this one right here 43, this one right here 43, this guy 33. And we need to switch to the Allen. All right, we got the Allen. And let's torque this guy down. to, ooh, we forgot to move the Allen, we forgot to set it. Not cool. We need 33 on this guy. All right, 33 foot-pounds. Okay, 33. All right, now we have that all snugged down. We can start assembling. Now we can start putting in the carrier and the axle. Next up, let's put in the bearing carrier. And what you need to do here is to grab yourself some grease. This one is already, the bearings are already installed, and the sleeve is already installed inside of there. And we had a nice grease zerk right here, so it's already greased up. You can tell it doesn't move inside of there any longer. The steel sleeve doesn't move. Everything is greased up, but let's grease the outside of this. Put a little bit of grease around the outside. And with these aftermarket bearing carriers, there's no O-ring out here. But if you have a stock one, I believe there's an O-ring here and an O-ring here that needs to be replaced. These aftermarket do not require O-rings on the outside. Let's make sure we get grease up along the inside of here though. Alright, and then we can throw a little bit of grease around the bore inside of here. And we'll probably want to put some on the inside of here just to keep it from seizing up. Alright, and then the way you insert this, you insert it from left to right. So this is going to be our adjusters for the chain. So it goes on the chain side. And we'll just shove this baby on through. It's slickery though. I think I need to clean off a little bit of the hands here. Alright, I'm finished shoving this guy through. Okay. Went in much easier before. Ah, there we go. Okay. So we'll put it up so right in the center here somewhere. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to put the brake stay in place, and we're going to need a couple of O-rings, which we have some brand new ones, and we're going to need the snap clip, Serta clip right here, which is going to go right on here, and this is going to go on here. Let's do it. First off, we need this. We need to keep it in place right here. There's a little looks like a nut, but just basically some kind of collar that just flies over the top of here, right? It's got a slot, matches up with this slot right here. So you want to get it matched up with the slot, and it keeps it in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw some grease on here. That'll keep it from seizing up on there. We'll just put that in here. And let's get our O-rings. So basically we got one on the outside, one on the inside. So the way this is going to work, we're going to get some grease. Grease up that baby with the red and tacky. That's what I'm using, the Lucas red and tacky. And then the first O-ring is going to go right here against the outside. Can grease up the outside of this as well. Then the other O-ring, we'll grease this up. And it goes on the inside of the brake stay. There's a little slot inside of there, which I'll show you here in a second. And this O-ring fits right along inside of that little slot there. There it goes. So that O-ring goes inside of there. So let's put a little bit more grease on there. Alright, now we can line this up and we'll slide that right on into here. So there we are. And now this has the circlip slot right here, which is going to get this this snap ring, circlip, whatever the hell you want to call it. Either one is fine with me. You want to make sure, if yours has an orientation that it belongs, that you put it on proper. This one says outside, so obviously that will be going on the outside. So let's put a little bit of grease on here. Alright, and then we take our snap ring pliers and we use the kind that spreads. You don't want the one that compresses, you want the spreader, because we're going to be making this wider to fit around and then drop it back in. So let's hit the right holes here, shall we? Alright, so what we do is we open it up, and then it goes right in there, just like so. And you may want to take your screwdriver, crack it a couple of times, make sure. Ooh, see? Now we do have pinch bolts that are going to go in here that will be tightened down to tighten this carrier up, but we're not going to do that right now because we still need to put a chain on, and we'll have to loosen or tighten this depending on where the sprocket goes and all that good stuff. So that'll be another step. You can do that on yours if you're ready for that right now. Alright, now it's time to slide the axle through, but before we do that, we're going to take our waterproof grease here, and we're going to grease the seal lips real good. We're going to pack that full of grease right here. You want to make sure you get that all in there. Fill that whole thing. And of course, do the same to the other side. Alright, now that we have grease everywhere, let's make sure we clean up some of this before we get going any farther here. Okay, now before we slide the axle through, we are going to want to pack a bunch of this grease right here onto the center of that. a little bit around the outside of here. We can clean up the excess once we get this slid through. Alright, so now, before we go any farther, I should have done this before I greased it, but there is an O-ring. Let's get the grease out of the way here. There is an O-ring right on inside of here that we are going to replace. We get our brand new OEM O-ring, and this is our last chance because once we slide this baby on through, we ain't going to be able to touch it any longer. So, this is the step where we replace the O-ring. So let's get to it. First we need to remove the old one. That son of a bitch, I think, yeah. Alright. So see, we should have done this before we greased it. But now you can see we got the old O-ring off and we're driving it through all of the grease. We definitely should have done this first. Alright, well, there's our old O-ring. We're going to put a new one on here now. We're not going to need to grease this because once we go through here, we'll be plenty greased. Try to keep it up out of the way, I guess, as much as possible here. I'll get it to go. Greasing it as we go. It's not going to hurt anything, I guess, is it? Alright, let's clean up the hands. Slide this dog through. Left to right. Line it up. Grease up these splines. Clean up some of the excess grease that's on the outside of here. We got some grease right here. We're gonna need that on there anyway, so let's just go ahead and pack it in. Now let's install the sprocket. So let's get down to it, shall we? The way this is going to roll is the writing is going to go in and the bolts are going to face out like this. The nuts are going to be on the outside. So we line this baby on up in here. It's kind of tricky sometimes. There we go. We'll get one started up here. And we'll get this bottom one started down here. Just want to start them because we're going to blue Loctite these. I think we're going to buzz these suckers down. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to buzz them down. We're going to apply some blue Loctite. So we're just gonna buzz these down real fast. And then we'll blue Loctite it. Alright. These nuts get torqued down to 43 foot-pounds. We'll torque these down once we get everything situated, but we got them buzzed down now good enough where we can move on. Okay, so this would be the step right now where you would hook the chain up and you'd feed it through and you'd be able to torque these down. Again, make sure you like this video if I'm helping you out with anything here, and please subscribe to my channel. There's a whole lot of videos because once again, as you can see, we don't have a motor in here yet, but we are building this whole quad. This whole sport quad, this whole 400EX. So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe to get updates and hit that bell. And anyway, these will be torqued down to 43 foot-pounds again, but we're going to wait on all the torquing until we get the motor in and we can hook the chain up and get a little tension on here. Or the wheels. One of the two. I haven't decided how we're going to do it yet, but that'll be upcoming. But let's get the rest of this axle put together. We still got the brake rotor and the brake stay is in place here. We got the brakes to put on. We got the hubs. So let's continue on. All right, next step we're going to be putting on the rotor stay and the brake rotor. So in this case, I have already assembled it. There is, let's see here, there is writing on the outside of this right here that says drive, right? And it has an arrow right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says drive, and obviously we're going to be going that way. So the arrow needs to go this way, so there's only one way you can put this rotor on. It's going to go this way, and the bolts are going to be on the inside. And that's why I already assembled this, but basically it gets torqued down to 31 foot-pounds and some blue Loctite on these bolts. But as you can see, this one's a little different. I'm putting 450R brakes all the way around on this front and rear, so there's not really much room in there for me to torque it. With this brake stay, this is from a 450R, TRX 450R. This is from a TRX 450R. That's why they look a little different. And we got ourselves a new O-ring. And basically there's a little groove inside of here. This O-ring is going to go right inside the groove right here. We're going to just grease it up a bit. Grease up our O-ring, and we'll try to feed it into the groove there. There we go. You want it to go inside the groove, and then we'll just grease up these splines in here as well. And we'll just slide this baby right on in there. Let me make sure that's tight. Ooh. And just for good measure, we'll give it a little tap with a and I'm going to pull it back out just to make sure, because on the other side, just for your information, you can put too much grease inside of here. I had too much grease on the other side and it wouldn't seat all the way, so I had to pull some of the grease out because it just had nowhere to go. It was filled up. So let's make sure that that didn't happen on this side too, because I was a little generous with the grease. not that much. Last one had a big goop on there. So you can put too much grease in here, by the way. Alright, so we just push this dog on in there. Now let's install our lock nuts and lock nut sleeve. I already have the inner lock nut on here, all the way backed off to the back, so we can just slide that right on. Now that we have the sleeve and the inner lock nut on there, we want to apply some blue Loctite to the threads, and we can go ahead and put our outer on. Now remember, these are reverse threaded, so we're going to back this all the way down as far as it will go, so that you can see the snap ring groove. And we got a brand new snap ring, brand new circlip ring here. Let's get that out of the pack here, and then we can fly it down the road as well. All right, there we got the circlip snapped in there. Got the old snap ring. Make sure it's all good and seated all the way around, and it is nice. Okay, so then you want to put some grease around that to keep it from getting corroded. And now you back this guy right back up to it. Like so. And you take this guy. This is our Motion Pro 45.5 millimeter. We're gonna have to torque it later. This baby gets torqued down to 65 foot-pounds, and with this nice Motion Pro tool, we got a 1/2 inch square right there where we can just plug in our torque wrench and crank her down. This is the outer, so it'll be cranked down to 65 foot-pounds. So hey, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you hit that like button down there. Just crack that like button. Or, you know, if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe, because you know there's going to be more stuff coming up. We're going to finish this build. Yeah, make sure. All right, we got more to continue on with this guy. So basically what's going to happen is once we torque this, right, we're going to torque this to, what did I say again? 65. We're going to torque this to 65. Then we're going to back this one up to it. I shouldn't have put the Loctite on there, I don't think. I should have done that at a later time. But we're going to Loctite this right here as well with some blue Loctite. We're going to blue Loctite that. And then we're going to slide this guy right out. We're going to back him up to this. And we're going to torque the inner to 94. And we'll leave it like this, totally loose, so that we can make sure that we know that we need to torque it later. And let's move on. All right, next we can put our hubs on. And let's get these wheels on. We'll do the brakes next. But yeah, make sure that you subscribe to my channel down there and keep up with this build. And make sure you hit the like button. And make sure that you ring that bell for notifications and keep caught up. So what we're going to do is, well, we want to make sure we already have grease on this spline right here, because while we were doing all this and we shoved the axle through, we got grease on there. So basically all there is to this is you just slide these babies on there like so, and I like to give them a few different slots, right, to make sure that we got the grease all good and on there. And then we have castle nuts, which spin on like so. And then we torque these to 101 foot-pounds. But like I said, we're not going to be doing any torquing until we get everything under control. But that's all there is to the hubs. And then when you're done, when you torque it, then you got a cotter pin that goes through the hole, and then you bend it out and throw some grease on there, and that's that. But let's get this baby together and throw the wheels on there and see what this bitch looks like, huh? Yep. Take a little bit of grease and grease up the splines. Got the maximum waterproof grease, by the way. Castle nut. And then torque to 101 foot-pounds. And then a cotter pin on the ends. Alright, let's put the wheels on. See how it looks? That was exactly the right size. We're just going to hand tighten these for now. Alright. One wheel on. See if we get lucky on this side. We're going to meet our lug nuts. Not quite. We're going to have to pick it up a bit. There we go. Now we can get rid of the jack, the box. And we're standing by ourselves. That is so freaking awesome right there. All right. There's our rear end. She looks pretty sweet. Got a long way to go though, so make sure you subscribe and make sure that you hit that like button. We have a whole lot left on this build. Pretty soon we're going to be getting to the motor, and of course we have the front end, which we have all laid out over here, ready to go in the next video. But right now, that's we got the whole rear end pretty much done. All we need to do is torque everything.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.